Hey everyone, hopefully you're having a good day. My name's Andy, my channel's Finding Value. Reading through the comment section, I'll give you guys my opinion. Again, this is just my opinion. Do not use it as financial advice. Figure out if it works within your strategy. I'm just sharing my opinion. It's got to work for you. So, a lot of you guys are asking me direct questions on what to do, and I can just give you my opinion. And that's all it is. It's just a financial opinion. It's not advice. So here it is. We've got Andy, my man, use the weekly 50. So we're talking about Bitcoin here. Use the 50 Bollinger Band set on 1.25 standard deviation on BLX and see how price has reacted on it from previous bull runs. So they're talking about the actual price movement in Bitcoin. What I'm looking for is I'm looking for a contraction. I'm looking for a wedge. I'm looking for the buyers starting to equal the sellers. Now, that doesn't mean that that cryptocurrency could, it'll cease to go up further. What I'm looking for is if we have an ascending wedge where the buyers are starting to equal the sellers. It's a herd mentality. It has nothing to do with the actual fundamentals of Bitcoin. It has everything to do with how humans interact with each other when they're all put together. That's what technical analysis is. So don't get caught up on, you're using fractals and that's fine. But if I see something contract up, I'm looking for a break. That's all I'm looking. I'm just looking for a break. If it breaks to the downside, you're probably going to have downside weakness. If it breaks to the upside, then it's going to be upside. Now, I can identify a pattern, but it doesn't mean that pattern's going to play out. Like someone was saying something about a reverse head and shoulders. Yeah, it had a head and shoulders going, or just a regular head and shoulders. But sometimes the pattern doesn't play out. That's what the statistical probability is. That's why short-term trading, you shouldn't go 100% off that. It's only 60% accurate. And that's why short-term trading, I don't do it. It's not accurate enough. That's why day traders, a lot of them, like 80 to 90%, get slaughtered. They go broke. That's why I don't do it. Now, here's a question from Charles Brady. And thanks for leaving question, guys. I really appreciate you guys leaving questions and asking for my opinion. It says, Andy, I have a question below in the comments. Can you answer it? You have a lot of the stocks from the channel you discuss, and I own physical silver. Could I just sell everything and go 100% into platinum? Would that be risky? Well, I can't tell you what to do, but what I've done is I have 20 to 25% of my net worth in physical metals, and I split it up amongst silver and platinum. I still have gold too. I do have maybe about 10% in gold. I'm never going to sell that gold. And then on my other portion, which is about 40% of my net worth, I have a whole bunch of different stocks. Of the 40%, 20% is in the high risky things. And I think it's good to have all of it. That's my opinion. I would never put everything in one thing. I think physical metals, doesn't matter what they are. It could be gold. I would say gold is probably the least risky asset there is. If you were to look at Exner's pyramid is, and you know what? I'll bring that up right now just so you guys can see. Or Exner's, yeah, I should say extra. I put Exner's. Yeah. So Exner's pyramid is this pyramid behind me. And the pyramid here on the right-hand side is lower risk of default, higher risk of default. And if you notice, gold's on the tip, and you could put other precious metals on there too, like silver. Silver and gold are monetary metals. That's why I always want to hold them. I'm not going to get rid of them. Platinum is debatable, but platinum is of the best value, period, bar none. It's an anomaly in history against all the other metals. Paper money is above that, which means paper money is more risky than gold. Paper money is a future repayment. It is debt. It is something that I don't want to own. It loses value over time. And I know some people on the short term, yes, precious metals are going to be volatile. Yes, they're going to move all over the place. But precious metals will do well in a deflation or inflation. What usually happens in a deflation, and the whole point of owning gold is if everything falls, gold may fall with it, it'll just fall less than everything else. So it is protecting your purchasing power. And then when it goes up, some of these assets may go up faster, but it's still keeping pace with your purchasing power. That's the whole point of it. And you're out of the system. It's a diversifying effect. Now, government bonds and treasury bills are more risky. Corporate muni bonds, securitized debt, listed stocks. And then you got non-monetary commodities are very risky. They are very volatile. Private business, real estate, and then derivatives and unfunded government liabilities. That's Exeter's pyramid of basically lower risk of default. Exeter was a huge gold bull. And he was part of the, I think he was on the board of the Federal Reserve, I think, one of the banks. But I would stay diversified. That's me. I have a reason for setting up those percentages. I kind of mulled it through, and I'd be even fine with upping my physical metals portfolio. And I know people that here's another thing, and I'm reading through some of these questions. The Bitcoin crowd, and I have nothing against necessarily the Bitcoin crowd, but here's the question I pose, and I've asked this before. All right, and I'm not trying to belittle Bitcoin or any of the cryptocurrencies. If you took the price appreciation away from Bitcoin, all right, let's say it would never go up. This is just a hypothetical question. Let's say it never goes up. What value does Bitcoin have to human society? If Bitcoin was wiped off the face of the earth, would it matter? I mean, I don't think we can't use it to transact regular items. It's not fast enough. It takes too much energy. And it can't do that amount of transactions. So what value does it have? Now, what you're going to respond with is, but it's gone up some yearly percent, 200% annualized. I mean, guys, that every bubble did that. And I'm not saying that Bitcoin is a bubble, but it very well could be. It could be the biggest bubble that we've ever seen. But I just go back to value. What utility or value does Bitcoin have to society? And why are people buying this? That doesn't even matter. What value does it have? If it didn't go up in price, what value to humans does it have? And that's the question I ask myself. And I come up with the answer, and it doesn't matter if I read the white papers or not. It doesn't matter how it actually transacts. What is the value? So what we want, and this is what I think what we want, is we want a currency that can't be debased. We'll call it a people's currency. The currency that's been in place for 6,000 years, that has stood the test of time, has been gold, silver, and all those types of metals. It's out of the system as well. You don't know. It's very difficult to tax and know what you own. Bitcoin, I'm sure they can do whatever they want, and they could probably eliminate it very quickly if they really wanted to. I don't know if I don't really know, but they can tax it. They can do all these certain things. They can try to ban it. I don't know if they'll be successful in doing it. And that's not the sole purpose. My argument that I want everyone to focus on is, what is the value of Bitcoin if the price didn't go up to society? And all things over time will migrate to the utility and the value it brings to humans. Everything will migrate that way. Now, if Bitcoin doesn't have any value, if we can't transact with it, if we can't do anything with it, what do you think that intrinsic value is going to be in the future? And it's going to have an old technology like a Walkman and a CD player is going to be Bitcoin in the future. So now you're asking, now you're playing the game, where's this thing gonna top out? Because we don't know the value of it. I don't know what the value is. That's why I don't play in it. I'm not going to put money in something that I have no idea. And I don't think any of these other people know. They just go in it because it goes up. That's it. The sole purpose of people going money, it's going up, therefore it's better. It's gone up more than everything else, therefore it's better than everything else. That's the logic that everyone uses. Tell me I'm wrong. Put in the comment section why Bitcoin has value and what utility it brings to society. If we can't use it for transactions, I can tell you a whole bunch of negatives on it. It uses a copious amount of energy. It uses more energy than entire countries do. It's very wasteful in terms of energy standpoint. Yeah, I think it uses more energy than all renewable energy that's been installed on the planet. It seems really, really great to progress humans forward. I'm putting my question up before the end of the video. Would there be some merit to swapping my silver for platinum? It's up to you. I have both silver and platinum physical, so I can't tell you what to do. That's something that you're going to have to decide on what you want to do. But to do change just to do change, I have found that it doesn't work that well. And silver has benefits. It's a monetary metal that has benefits that other metals may not. I own both, so that's what I do. Have I sold any of my silver? I have sold none. Someone wanted silver that I know, and I did swap some silver for a platinum coin because he wanted to diversify. I have a ton of silver in relationship to platinum, so I diversified a little bit. That's what I did. Will remain that way till real inflation numbers come down. Hey, Andy, would be great to hear your thoughts on Cardano. Has been making some big moves with mainnet launching next month. I don't know much about Cardano. I don't know much about some of these, especially altcoin cryptocurrencies. I just go back to what value do they bring to the table. I think the underlying, what people want, I think is there. I just don't know if cryptos are the ones to deliver it or not. We want a currency that is free market, the free market selects, that can't be, I guess, expanded upon, maybe. And something that is very easy to transact, has no fees, uses very little energy. This is what I would want. I would want a currency that remains anonymous. It is completely anonymous. It is free to transact, uses very little energy, can transact many hundreds of thousands of transactions per second if needed, and it's instant. So if I go to buy gas, I can say, bam, bam, done, fill up the tank, and I leave. I don't want to wait 10 minutes, 20 minutes. I don't want to pay a $20 fee for that to happen. I don't want a slow blockchain. I just don't want that stuff. It needs to be quick. It needs to be fast. It needs to work. And that's what the future is going to demand. That's what humans are going to demand. Now, is it going to be some sort of art or collectible? Maybe. Maybe Bitcoin will be an art or collectible. I don't know. Put in the comment section what you guys think on that, on Bitcoin and why you think it's going to hold its value. I'd love to hear your opinion. I think you should focus on investments you like. You seem to hate Bitcoin and very emotional about it. Okay, it might pull back. It's pulled back many times, but the long-term trend is massively up. And I agree with that. The trend is up. And that is a fact. Who cares about the platinum industry? Platinum's true value is that its density cannot be faked, and therefore a bar coin of it is the only thing that exists for which can have 100% certainty without destroying it. I hate that my gold could have tungsten core. I hate that my silver could have, well, anything. So he's talking about the density. Platinum is incredibly dense. If you look at a 1 ounce platinum bar, it's like half the size of silver, or maybe even less. It's very, very dense. Let me see here. This person said, I've noticed there's a lot of engineers investing in commodities. I'm an electrical engineer myself. I'm just saying. Yeah, so I think what we notice, or what we probably ask ourselves, is where are we going to get all this stuff? I mean, I use the materials all the time. I'm using aluminum day in and day out. We use steel. I used to use lots of precious metals in brazing. We would use gold, platinum. We would use some copper mixed in, silver. We would use all that stuff for brazing, and we would do furnace brazing, and we would also do soldering and torch brazing and all sorts of stuff. And we'd actually use a lot of platinum as well. Lots and lots of platinum. And then we would also dope nickel into it, I think. So there's all that. And I think we're just more connected and work with the stuff more than most everyone else. There's also a problem with miners that platinum is a substitute for palladium, so they're cannibalizing of each other, and these miners are all about 40% palladium, 40% platinum, and 10% rhodium. So platinum can go up, but that could hurt palladium. but because all these metals are in deficit and there's no supply coming from anywhere, so I think these companies will still perform very well. And what he's referring to is Impala Platinum, Anglo American Platinum, PLG, which is Platinum Group Metals. He's referring to those, saying that the entire PGM sector, irrespective of substitution, is going to be increasing in demand. They're all in deficit. And I agree with that. Because right now they're fighting the decline in production. So you're declining production, but all the prices of the PGM metals are going up. What I like to do is I just buy the metals, the physical metals, and I buy a lot of those and not worry about it. I'm protected from... Here's another thing to ponder. So the ratio investing that I have, it works irrespective of inflation, deflation. Doesn't matter what's going on in the world. You're protected. You're protected against whatever the currency does. If they go into hyperinflation, you're protected. If you go into a deflation, you're protected. If the ratios just move against each other, you can swap your metals back and forth and increase your holdings. That's what I like about it. I don't have to worry about anything. And it's off the grid. It's the lowest risk investment, in my opinion. There's no risk of default. You have no counterparty risk. I mean, this literally takes everything and just shoves it to the side and says, doesn't matter, doesn't matter, doesn't matter. Bitcoin, you still have to have an internet connection. You still have to have all this stuff. And I'm not trying to be anti-Bitcoin, but I get it. You guys think that the future is electronic. It's all, on whatever. It's whatever excuse you want to make up. And it's whatever you think. And maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And you know what? If people are left behind because they didn't buy Bitcoin, I mean, you're not going to be left behind if you don't buy Bitcoin. It's not the end of the world. There's opportunities out there. And to me, I just don't, maybe I just don't get it. And maybe I'm the slow adoption to it. I mean, I could see more value in Hedera Hashgraph than any of them, because that can literally support the number of transactions that are needed. It takes less energy. It's fast. That I can see a future in. These other ones, I don't see it. This one's talking about hydrogen fuel cells and how they could be in aircrafts, in planes, and that's very well could be. There's a lot to explore in the rare earths. I agree with that. The problem is a lot of it is in China. I don't put too much money in rare earths outside of China just because it seems like they're much more long shot. MP, ticker symbol MP, might be one that's okay, but a lot of the other ones, they're in first world countries, and these guys don't want to produce some of these rare earths. It's going to be they're messy. You're always speaking about your favorite commodities, but I never heard you mention coal, helium, or fertilizer minerals. So I own some fertilizers. I've talked about some fertilizers. The couple I own are IPI and Mosaic, MOS. Helium apparently is in a huge deficit. Has that already gone up? I mean, some of these have skyrocketed. I think Desert Mountain went through the mountain. They're way high. So I haven't really talked too much about it. And coal, everywhere in the world is trying to get rid of coal. I know some people in some of these utility companies, and they're getting rid of coal faster than as fast as they possibly can. They are literally shedding it all. And I know we're a first world country, and I know this is probably worldwide that you guys are referring to. Coal has been on a tear in terms of prices, probably because the supply disruptions or supply destruction versus the demand. And maybe there'll be a bull market there or not. But I have been slow to jump on some of these new trends. Some of the trends that I've been looking into is solar. I think if they're going to dump a bunch of money, they're probably going to go to solar. It's probably going to be one of the fastest growing areas, and that's where I'm going to put a little bit of my money. Doesn't mean it's a lot. It may only be 5% of 20%, and that's it. Or maybe 5% of 10%. So maybe it's 0.05% of my money goes in it, my net worth. Is now a good time to trade all of my fractional gold for 1 ounce of platinum? These things serve different purposes. Platinum is kind of an industrial metal. If we have problems in the short term, platinum could fall further. Very well could, even if it's the best value. Gold is more of a monetary play. Gold is always good to hold. I like gold a lot. It's done very well over long periods of time. It usually outperforms. So gold on a very long-term scale, you can hold and just hold it. And I know people are going to, at least the Bitcoin people are going to say, well, Bitcoin's outperformed gold. And that's perfectly fine, guys. I see so many comments on that. So that's okay, but I prefer to hold the metals, the real deal. And I think at some point when the metals get very hard to get, that's when the real value is going to show itself. And if energy becomes scarce, and I don't know if it will, but if it does, you're going to see currencies eat it. And I think the metals will do very well in that type of scenario. I'm not saying that these scenarios are going to happen. What I'm telling you is look at the risks and look at how you're protected. That's all. Here's one. However, the projected platinum deficit was based on demand from hydrogen fuel vehicles. There was news not long ago saying one of the major Japanese hydrogen car manufacturers announced they will stop producing hydrogen fuel cell powered passenger vehicles due to high costs and low demand. What are your views on this? We're going to have to adopt something in the future, and it may not come from cars. Platinum's going to go into deficit if we have fuel cell demand or not. It's going to go into deficit. So if we don't do fuel cells, and we can't do battery electric vehicles in the quantities that we need, that means that we're going to build more auto catalysts, catalytic converters. So then platinum's going to be in probably short supply versus demand. If they choose to do a hydrogen economy, then they're used there. We're using, in industrial purposes, 5.5% more platinum per year, growing quite rapidly. And platinum is fine. They're finding a bunch of new uses for platinum over time because it's such a great exotic material. So I wouldn't use some of these articles. A lot of people, they read one thing. It's like one little piece, and then they say, oh no, this one piece is bad, therefore I don't want to invest in it. I don't look at things like that. I look at it from a total approach. Look at, okay, if we have a market balance that could go into a deficit and it doesn't even need fuel cell demand. Well, but fuel cell demand could be icing on the cake later on. It could be. Well, I'm going to put a little bit of money there, especially if it's super cheap. I'll put a little bit of money in silver. I'll put a little bit of money in gold. I'll put a little bit of money in solar. I'll put a little money in oil and uranium. Put some money in copper. If you can have if we have a good position here, and I'm looking 10 years out, and you ask some of these questions, all right, if we don't mine copper at the quantities that people want, which we're not going to in the next 10 years, and we don't go into this renewable world, like it'll just remain normal. We're still going to have problems with copper, I'm guessing. If we go into a renewable world, we're going to have massive deficits of copper. So we're good on a win-win scenario in copper. So I'm going to put some money in copper. And then I'm going to put some money in platinum because it looks like we could go into a deficit there. And then I'm going to put some money in oil because we can go into deficit in quarter 4, 2022. And that could be a big, big move. And I bought it when it was incredibly cheap. Now, would I go run and dump my money in a bunch of technology stocks that are priced through the roof? Probably not. And I just don't see the value there. You're going to buy stuff. What this channel is advocating is that we're buying things when nobody wants it. And then you guys are kind of asking questions on the lines of, well, should we be buying this because no one else is buying it? And that's like the whole thing that we have to understand is you're buying things when nobody else is here. It's pretty lonely. And the negative thing about starting a channel about finding value is you guys probably already know a little bit about commodities. You kind of figured it out that there's value here. And that's how you found my channel. But not many other people are going to be looking for value. What they're going to be looking for is price movements. They're going to chase price. And that right there is what gets you into trouble. Chasing price gets people into trouble. That's where you lose money. If you act like everyone else, you will most likely not outperform the market. You can get lucky, and sometimes it works, but you have to get your time frames right too. Your time frames are, if you're going to do long-term investing, you're going to have to figure out how to think long-term and be strategic with your investment. Everyone else they're looking at the pawns being brought off the chess, the chess mat, table, whatever you want to call it. They're seeing these pawns get removed. But what eludes them is the bigger picture of the position that's being gained by losing the pawn. You're saying, I lost a pawn. Oh no, I'm losing. It came off the table, and all of a sudden, we've got a checkmate going on. And then we check them, and then we check them. It's like it's a game over. The pawn was a sacrificial pawn. Your focus was on the wrong thing. Your focus on prices and price movements is the wrong thing, is what I'm trying to say here. The right thing to focus on is value. The right thing to focus on is to get your mindset wrapped around, how can I make money? Where can I find asymmetric bets? Where can I find it where I can risk, $1,000, but I can get $10,000 back? But it might take 4 or 5 years. And I don't know too many people that make that amount of return in 4, 5, 6, 7 years. They usually go into these S&P 500 or something, and they get like 7%. But if your inflation rate is 5 or 6 or 7%, you're really making no money. You might as well just go into physical precious metals at that point. So, that's my opinion. If you guys, keep putting comments below, I'll stop it there. It's getting kind of long. Hopefully you guys like this content. And you know what? Give me a thumbs up if you like it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And thanks for listening. This is Finding Value.